Oh my God! Did the Colts? Oh no, they didn't.
No.
I was about to say the Chargers come back.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to this Vikings Now podcast. Jim Rich along with Ahmad Hicks and Pierre Nugent. Vikings, this is one that you could look back at the end of the season and go, whew, boy, could have used that one, as they fall 28-22 to the Philadelphia Eagles. It wasn't so much the Eagles beating them, but it was once again the Vikings beating themselves. Do you concur, Mr. Hicks?
6 red zone opportunities, 1 score. You can never win a football game like that, especially when you turn it over 2 times.
Pierre?
Well, the funny thing is I believe going into the game, they were the second most penalized team in the NFL. We've talked about this all season long of how they have killed themselves with penalties. They only had 3 of them today, but 2 of them essentially negated touchdowns. Yeah, just absolutely negated touchdowns and absolutely killed them. So there was a couple of opportunities that I thought they had in the game to, like Ahmad was saying, in the red zone, you got to punch it in, get touchdowns instead of field goals. They didn't do it. That's really what cost them the game in the end.
And I don't know if this was Wentz making these decisions or if it was the plays sent into him. I'm assuming since you're a backup and you're just trying to keep things on the rails, you're doing what's sent to you. Right. But you're in the red zone. You are at the, 2-yard line? Yeah. And you go 3 straight passes.
2nd and 1.
Yeah. It's like, what are we doing here? Yeah. I mean, this is why we went out and got Jordan Mason. Yeah. This is why we got fatter people for the offensive line. It's like, let's just play some bully ball and score.
Look, I think Carson Wentz said it best in his post-game press conference. He said the Philadelphia Eagles do a really good job of bending, but when you get in that red zone, they don't necessarily break. And I think that's what we saw from this offense time and time again. They got where they needed to be, but they just couldn't punch it in. They just couldn't capitalize, whether it was KOC's play calling at the end of the game or, throughout the game.
Well, I'm talking earlier in the game, but at the end, too, it was a bit wonky.
For sure. Not trusting the run game early or being too pass happy and whatnot. But, I mean, look, they did get to that 4th down, and they got the touchdown to Jalen Nailor. But that holding call, oh, my God, that was egregious. That was horrible. And Kevin O'Connell addressed it after the game, said that's a trap technique. He said it's pretty normal across the NFL. Like, that's a normal blocking thing. So he said he didn't see the full replay. He has to go look at the film. But I'm pretty sure when he goes to look at that film, he's going to be livid because I think the referees cost him 7 points right there.
Well, yeah. Well, Blake Brendel, everybody was praising him last week. He has the snap that went to center field and then also that holding penalty. So a lot of Viking fans were burning on him today, Pierre.
Yeah, I guess I can understand it, but at the same time, too, if I'm directing my anger as a Vikings fan, I'm not directing it at Blake Brendel, who is only starting his 2nd career game at center. And in the end, that snap, even though it was a bad snap that went over the head of Carson Wentz, it didn't cost you anything, kind of, in the end. You still get 3 as opposed to maybe 7 in that instance, so maybe it did cost him at most 4 points, but I don't think I'm necessarily directing my anger at Blake Brendel. There was an opportunity in the 4th quarter when Philadelphia had, I think it was like a 3rd and 12 or a 3rd and 13 with an opportunity for Minnesota to get off the field. A.J. Brown makes a huge catch on the sideline to extend that drive, and that drive ended in points for Philadelphia to go back up 9. And that really, at that point, I thought to myself, I don't think there's any coming back from this. They did have an opportunity to do it, credit to the Vikings, but that moment of the game where Philadelphia was able to convert on a 3rd and long and extend the drive and get into the end zone again, that really, really hurt Minnesota in this game.
The defense, there's a lot of things that went on here because you had the opening drive where Philadelphia just went right down the field, took off 5-6 minutes off the clock, scored a touchdown. And then after that, their next 3 possessions, 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. And the defense really flipped the game, and that's where those red zone missed opportunities didn't come to fruition, and then it ended up hurting you. But the defense was so good at times, and then they give up uncharacteristically balls over the top,
Yeah,
which we've not seen all year.
Yeah, they haven't been tested like that all year. And you know what's so funny about that? I'm speaking to some cornerbacks I won't name right now in the locker room on Wednesday, and they were telling me, we want the one-on-one opportunities. Like, I just wish I could go line up against the best player and go take him out, whether that's A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith. And they got exactly that today, time after time after time again. And what was it? A.J. Brown had 2 touchdowns, and those 2 wide receivers combined for over 300 yards.
Yes.
I mean, so it's like you have to be your best when your best is required, and the cornerbacks' best, they were not at their best today. Isaiah Rodgers said it after the game. This is one of those games where you just flush it and move on. You have to move on, especially on a short week. He was like, by the time I walk out this locker room, this game will be flushed. I have to prepare myself for the next game. But he was clearly a little frustrated with himself after the game because he was one of the last players to get dressed. He was one of the last players to talk to media, and his answer was pretty much the same thing. Like, it is what it is. You just got to move on. You can't dwell on this game, etc. But, you know, Coach Flores put him in a situation that we've seen time and time again. All-out blitz, mano-a-mano. You're on an island by yourself. Go make a play. And in that situation, in the down and distance, 3rd and 9, you want to see him playing what we say, and from the cornerback perspective, you want to play deep, then go come in. Give up everything short, and then go tackle the ball carrier. You don't want to jump anything short, trying to be a hero, and then you give up the big play with nobody behind you. So, you know, his eyes should have been in the backfield from what I understand, and if his eyes were, and if your eyes are in the backfield, you're supposed to be getting depth, and he didn't get depth. He took the slant and go, and got beat on the go.
Well, and so the numbers are amazing. Smith, 9 catches, 183 yards. That 79-yard touchdown added a lot to his total. And then Brown, 4 receptions, but he ended up with 121 yards. Do you think that the Eagles purposely went after Isaiah Rodgers just because of the fact, well, they know him, right? They know his tendencies, so they probably know what he'll bite on, and singled him out this afternoon?
I think it's possible, but Isaiah Rodgers has been having a pretty darn good season so far for the Vikings. But here's the deal. This is pro sports. If you're good enough to be praised, you're good enough to be criticized. And Isaiah Rodgers got absolutely burned today. Not once, but twice. Because he was the man that was on the Devonta Smith bomb as well. He had his hips turned in the wrong direction. Smith just turned him around and beat him deep down the middle. So, and at the same time, too, like Ahmad was just saying, you bite on that move from A.J. Brown in a situation that you can still possibly win the game if you get a stop there on 3rd and 9, and A.J. Brown fakes him out, goes down the sideline, makes the catch, game is over. So Isaiah Rodgers had a very tough day today, and yeah, I have no doubt that Isaiah Rodgers is going to absolutely, like Ahmad was saying, is going to flush it down the toilet because he wants to forget it because he had a bad game.
Yeah.
So it's in this league, it seems like it gets harder and harder to play defense year after year after year. Facts. So I don't love to pile on corners a ton because it's already hard enough to play the position as it is. But Isaiah Rodgers did not have a good game today, and he was a big reason why Minnesota wasn't able to get over the hump. I don't mean to single him out entirely like that, but these are 2 monster plays that really played a huge role in the end result.
I think it was all their defensive backs in man-to-man coverage, though, if we're being honest, because the first touchdown to A.J. Brown was Josh Metellus lined up. Basically, he covered the hitch route. A.J. Brown turned it into a scramble drill. So the rule is when you run a short route and you're not open, you go deep. You give your quarterback an opportunity. He did that. He got a touchdown. Byron Murphy on the post route. He was lined up man-to-man, went in motion with A.J. Brown, got beat on the post route, and then Devonta Smith lined up against Isaiah Rodgers man-to-man again, and then Isaiah Rodgers with A.J. Brown at the end of the game. So it was those 4 plays were crucial, and I don't know the stats. If you look at them, the 3rd down conversion rate for the Eagles, but it felt like
wasn't much.
I think they only converted 3 3rd downs, and I feel like they were
2 of
all
them. I think were 3rd and long.
3rd and long, and you let Jalen Hurts get outside the pocket. And Jonathan Grenard said it after the game. He was like, "I got to get these quarterbacks down." He was like, "I'm getting there. I need to find a way to get them down." He was visibly frustrated about that, but he was like, "You can't dwell on this." He was like, "You got to move on." He was like, "It is what it is. It's a long season." But he took it personally, like, look, I got to do better getting these quarterbacks on the ground, and then these cornerbacks don't have to cover that long.
Yeah, 3 for 10 on 3rd down, 2 of 3 on 4th down by the Eagles this afternoon. Jalen Hurts, a very interesting day for him, ends up with a perfect passer rating of 158.3, 19 of 23, 326. He hasn't had a 300-yard passing game
All season.
in his last 22 outings. So how were the Eagles able to do this? Because it seemed like Philadelphia wanted to run the ball when the game started. That long first opening drive was all on the ground for the most part until they went up top for the 7. But you look at how Hurts hurt the Vikings. It seemed like he wasn't ever forced to pass. Now, there were the critical situations, but for the most part, it wasn't like he had to carry the team.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there was what I would say to that too. There were several situations where we saw in the game where it looked like, oh, we're going to bring him down for a sack, and then this is what the magic of Jalen Hurts can do. It's why he's a guy who's a potential MVP candidate year in and year out. It's because he makes moves with his legs. He can extend plays with his legs. He was able to do that multiple times on the day, break down a defense, and find the open man. Like you said, Jim. I mean, going into the game, Philadelphia, I know Saquon Barkley's a different animal entirely, so it might feel a little deceptive at the fact that Philadelphia was 25th in the league running the football going into this game, because you always have to watch out for Saquon Barkley. I mean, the guy is just an absolute stud. But even in that situation, knowing that way that Philadelphia has struggled to run the ball this year, yeah, I'm a little surprised at how the result ended up with Jalen Hurts over 300 yards. I definitely wouldn't have guessed that. I would not have guessed that at all, that would end up happening today. Because Philadelphia, even though they had been a little bit poor running the football this year, even overall, the offense never really felt like it's had an identity all season long. Even though they're 4-2 coming into this game, they had lost 2 in a row. But Philadelphia's offense never really felt like it's built an identity so far this season, and for them to open up the passing game the way we did, or the way they did today, a little bit eye-opening. Definitely a little bit eye-opening today. I was not expecting that today from Philadelphia.
I'm like Pierre. I wasn't expecting the Eagles to have, Jalen Hurts to go over 300 yards passing, but I was expecting some opportunities. And when you have one-on-one opportunities between a cornerback and a wide receiver, advantage typically goes to the wide receiver. If it's one-on-one, you got a lot of space. Quarterback just has to put the ball in the area. You can either make a play, draw a flag, all those things. But when I'm speaking to Isaiah Rodgers on Wednesday, before this game, he's like, look, we have to stop the run. If we stop the run, it's going to fall down to the defensive backs, and it's going to be our job to make sure that we bring this game home. That's exactly what happened. They stopped the run. They shut down Jalen Hurts running the ball. They shut down Saquon Barkley running the ball and Tank Bigsby. And the defensive backs had to make plays, and they just didn't there. And then it's like, you know what? All right, we're sending pressure. We're getting beat in man, blah, blah, blah. So let's go to zone. So then when they go to zone, well, here come these digs and these deep crossers. And Jalen Hurts was standing in the pocket and delivering dimes to Devonta Smith over the middle. So, it's like I spoke with one corner after the game. I said, look, that all-out blitz, I said, is that the right call at the end of the game? Not to question Brian Flores. And he said, look, that play has won a lot of games here. He said that play has made a lot of money. He was like, so it's kind of like you saw what Jalen Hurts was doing. He had a lot of time to pass. He was like converting those long third downs. So he's like, danged if you do, danged if you don't. He said, if Isaiah Rodgers gets that stop or gets a PBU, Brian Flores looks like a hero. He said, but we didn't get that stop. So everyone's going to point the finger at Brian Flores and question why he ran that defense. But he's like, you really can't question it because it's garnered a lot of success in the last couple of years. He was like, so you kind of like you live by, your decision to blitz, all-out blitz, and you die by that decision sometimes. That's just the game of football.
Carson Wentz, 26 of 42, 300 yards. But there were times that he almost looked lost.
Yeah.
How he didn't account for that linebacker over the middle that took
Well,
it
he
for
did
the
have
pick
Jalen
six.
Carter barreling down.
Got drilled.
Yeah,
Play.
Jalen Carter. If you see Jalen Carter coming at you 2 steps away, you're trying to get rid of the ball too. So I kind of understand that. Kevin O'Connell said,
Okay, but how about the intentional grounding where he just threw the ball
Which
on the
was
ground?
a major penalty that really
Right,
could have
in the red
potentially
zone.
killed their drive. Yeah.
It's like,
8-yard loss.
what was that?
I think
they showed C.J. Ham standing there having a picnic. He was wide open over in the flat, or just throw it out of the end zone.
I mean, I
Do
think
something.
maybe
Just
he was probably
throwing it on the ground. It's like,
he was probably thinking Jordan Mason would have been there, a little closer to the line of scrimmage or where he threw it. Then they would have, not called that. But Jordan Mason went on a blitz pickup, and so he was kind of the extra tackle on the end of the line of scrimmage and whatnot. But Carson has to play better. He said that.
And then I'll just throw the other big error out there, the interception that looked like a punt.
I mean, that's what Kevin O'Connell said. It was somewhat like a punt. He said he thought he had it down there, but he was like, got to set his feet, make that throw. You don't want to see him make that throw. I think it was second down when he did that.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was a chance for them to keep driving, and you gave them, points out of that drive. And that pick six, Kevin O'Connell said that basically, when it comes to number 18, Justin Jefferson, if it ever looks too good to be true, it probably is. Like, and what he said was they had a man look. The linebacker was at the line of scrimmage. They assumed he was coming. And he said had he just waited one click longer and let Justin get to that second window, probably would have been a big play. But when you got Jalen Carter barreling down at you don't have a chance to get to that second window. But Carson said that's the play that he has to eat. You got to hold on to that football. Said by the time he threw it, he didn't see the guy until afterwards, and then he looked up at the scoreboard and he was running the other way, and he said that's never a good feeling. So, it's easy to look at the replay and see C.J. Hams out there and stuff like that, but big Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, those guys coming around that, man, up the middle, everything speeds up.
No doubt about it. So, where's the jury on Wentz? We saw social media light up. Get Max dusted off. Let's go. They wanted him in the second quarter. What do you do? Short week, Thursday. J.J. McCarthy practiced, limited.
He's not going.
We've got a short window here. What do? He goes against his old college coach. He would know how to handle what is going to get thrown at him by his coach, right?
No. He hasn't played many games in the NFL, and his coach probably would know how to stop him better than he would know how to beat his coach. Pierre?
I think if he's deemed healthy enough to play, he should play. That's what I think. I think if he is deemed healthy enough to play, he should be the starter when the Vikings take on the Chargers on a short week. And I know it's a short week, but I'm skeptical that he will be healthy enough to be deemed able to play. But I'm not going to go as far as to say I think you need to dust off Max Brosmer and have Max Brosmer make his first career NFL start on a Thursday night game on the road in Los Angeles. That seems to me like a recipe for disaster. Not that I don't have some sort of confidence in Max, but at the same time, too, this is kind of the road that we've been on with Carson Wentz. It's a roller coaster ride. Sometimes it's really good, and sometimes it's really bad. And even though he threw 2 first-half interceptions, the Vikings were still in a position to win this game. If T.J. Hockenson, if his catch in the end zone is deemed a catch, this could be a completely different story of this game at this point. So I still have the same opinion of Carson Wentz now as I did a month ago. I don't feel like he's done enough to win the starting job, but I don't feel like he's been enough of a problem as to why the Vikings aren't winning games like this. It's you're kind of caught in the middle a little bit with Carson Wentz. But if the solution is turn it over to Max Brosmer to start on Thursday night, sorry, I'm not going that far. I'm not ready to go that far just yet. And that's why I say if J.J. McCarthy is deemed healthy enough to play on Thursday.
You host the PJ Flex show.
I do.
He's maroon and gold.
Yeah, I know.
He's your guy.
I think purple and gold.
I think Max with some seasoning might have an interesting NFL career because he's a smart kid. We were talking about it in the preseason. I turned to both of you at one point in that preseason game. I said, "Where was this throw?" All of his collision. PJ, where was this? A couple of throws I saw that I did not see throughout the entire collegiate season. But I'm not ready to turn the offense over to Max Brosmer just yet. No, I'm not ready to do that.
I think what we've been saying out of Carson is a backup quarterback. He's good,
yeah,
but he's not great.
Yeah.
And that's what you want out of your backup quarterback. You want somebody that can give you an opportunity to win games. He had that opportunity versus the Steelers. He, threw a couple of interceptions, but led his team back at the end of the game. This game right here, threw a couple of interceptions, but led his team back, had a chance to win the game, but that defense couldn't get a stop. So, it's the backup quarterback is never supposed to go out there and go win you a game. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
If that's the case, then he should be the starter. But we know that's not the case with this team. So I'm kind of with Pierre. If J.J. McCarthy is healthy, he should play. But I think they let it be known that this was a 6-week injury that he suffered and had to go through and recover from. And this is week 5. And so I think, Kevin O'Connell was asked about this after the game, and he said basically Carson Wentz got dinged up because he ran a little bit, and you could kind of tell he was like,
he got blasted.
Yeah, that shoulder was kind of like.
Well, like you said, Clark crushed him a couple of times.
He's a tough dude. Give him credit for
very,
that.
very
There
tough.
is no questioning the toughness of Carson Wentz.
That's that Dakota in him.
No doubt.
But his shoulder was a little banged up, so he said it. He was like, I hate Thursday. I don't know if he said hate, but he was like, I really dislike Thursday games. He was like, I've been vocal about that because the quick turnaround, but he's like, it is what it is. This is the business. So Kevin O'Connell said, he's dinged up, so you got to see if he's available, how he recovers, things like that. Said Max Brosmer was ready to go if they were going to have that opportunity, and J.J. McCarthy got his rep. So what he said was basically, we're going to see who's available, and then we're going to look at the film, and then we'll make the best decision, to put out the best guy come Thursday, which I think will just be Carson Wentz right now because it's such a short week. Have the game plan like from last week, and it'll be tweaked a little bit moving forward. But I just think that right now, throwing JJ out there in another primetime game, yeah, you want to see that. But it's also like, maybe do you want to give him 10 days to prepare for the Lions on the road? Because that's going to be a very daunting challenge, too, for this team.
Correct.
So I think it best suits the Vikings to have JJ McCarthy 100% healthy and maybe to have 10 days to prepare for the Detroit Lions rather than 3 days to prepare, because you're not going to practice. Tomorrow they have off. And, I won't say they have off, but it'll be recovery lifts and then, a walkthrough. Tuesday, probably a glorified walkthrough with helmets or something like that. And then Wednesday, walkthrough when you're traveling to Los Angeles. So, that's not a lot of time to get a guy ready who hasn't played since week 2.
All right, teams have been trying to figure out a way to stop the tush push. But the Vikings came up with the most original idea today by laying down Tyler Batty on the field across from the center. Just prone, like laying across the table.
Yeah, I thought that was weird.
I wanted to see how that panned out, but it was a false start on that play, so we never got an opportunity to see
the
it
Eagles
again.
are going like, what's he doing?
Look, I wanted to see that because, look, it also, like, the one thing.
I don't know how that's going to work. Sorry. I don't know how that would possibly work.
Me neither, and that's what I want to see. But the one thing that I noticed on their first tush push, Jalen Redmond, they had, all the big fellas were in there. And Jalen Redmond, Levi Drake Rodriguez, all those guys. And the first thing I think Jalen Redmond did was from the, in between the guard and the tackle, he kind of jumped over to grab Jalen Hurts. And I'm like, look, if you're a defensive line and you're jumping, you lost already. Because the Eagles guard and centers, center and guards, they're literally just plowing forward. So it's like, I guess if you lay a guy down there, you don't give that center a chance to make a step, although he's not really making a step. He's kind of just laying down. So I don't see how you stop the tush push, and I'm not sure that Beatty laying down like that would have stopped the tush push. But
you have no leverage.
Yeah.
You have no leverage whatsoever in that position. How are you going to? How are you
under there?
How are you in the world? Are you going to be able to force yourself to push
I guess
back?
what you're saying is basically
your
center can't get a push now because I'm here, and then now you're meeting me basically
right, because they put two guys above him.
So the guards
they built a wall of people.
And that's what I was thinking. So the guards in the center, they can't just dive down below because they always get lower than the defensive line.
Right.
So now you can't get that low because somebody's laying there. So now it's like, all right, well, low man wins. Well, the defensive line can get lower too, and then Jalen Hurts maybe doesn't get that momentum. So it was interesting. I really wish they would have got another opportunity so we could have saw how it played out. But maybe somebody else
the rest of the league would have wished to see it as well.
Exactly.
Because you see, get tape on that. The rest of the league would have been foaming at the mouth.
They would have been like, all right, where's our extra defensive lineman? Right. You're laying down on this play.
Fresh, elevated from the practice squad.
Exactly.
Here you go.
Exactly.
This is your one job to lay on the field.
Yeah, that would have been interesting.
This is why this play needs to go away.
I agree.
It is not in the spirit of the game. It's rugby. It's not football.
I don't necessarily disagree.
Go back to the Chuck Foreman days where you launched the running back over the top of the pile.
Yeah,
this just burrowing under the turf.
I don't love a runner getting helped from behind in a situation like that. Or that play. I still go back. It always brings me back to the USC Notre Dame game of 20 years ago, whatever, with Reggie Bush. Mm-hmm. It always brings me back to that play. And I didn't love it then. I still don't love it now. But as long as it's legal, you got to find a way to stop it. Nobody has been able to do that. But, yes, I think in the offseason, I think the committee is going to take another look at this. And I think we are eventually going to get to a point where it is going to get banned. Don't quote me on that. But I have a feeling we're going to eventually get there.
I just think it opens up Pandora's box. I'm a fan of it being banned.
I don't disagree. I don't disagree.
But then it's like, all right, well, do we not get to do a quarterback sneak where somebody gets to come behind the quarterback and push him? Because every other team does that.
Well, they used to have a penalty in the league
where you couldn't push up
aiding a runner.
Exactly.
They used to have that.
Yeah.
But you can't do that now because your running back can be stand up and fighting for extra yards and fall forward and get that first down. So I understand why they kind of took that away and let them get that opportunity to push a player. But it's like you said, it's it's bad football to watch as a fan, especially when they did it the other week and they ran it 4 straight times. It's like, what are we doing? You know, especially when you got fantasy football implications and Saquon Barkley on your team or A.J. Brown.
That matters.
What are we doing right now? You know, I don't want to see 4 straight tush pushes, but it's also like, if you can't stop it, I mean, like, don't complain about it, you know? And so, I don't know. I'm on both sides. It's like, as a fan, I want to see different plays, but as a football team, it's like, this is our play. This is our identity down here. You can't stop it. We're going to keep doing it. And kudos to the Eagles.
All right. Last couple of minutes here. A pulse of where we are at.
Must win on Thursday.
Let's take our snapshot.
Wow.
Must win on Thursday.
Okay.
Must win on Thursday. Because then, if not, you're going to Detroit. You're probably going to get a healthy Lamar Jackson coming back to the U.S. Bank Stadium. Like, you could be on the verge of losing 3 to 4 straight games. Like, it's a must win on Thursday night versus Los Angeles. They struggle versus the Indianapolis Colts, the Chargers, that is. Must win on Thursday, I feel like, because if you want any chance of going to the playoffs and getting some momentum, what I was talking to players about in the locker room Wednesday, they had to win 3 out of the next 4. Well, you just lost 1. So now you need to go get 3.
This stretch, I think they would be happy going 500, these 4 games. With the Eagles, Chargers on a short week, Lions in Detroit, and then come home, had Baltimore been Baltimore and not nicked up like they are right now. That 4 has 0-4 written all over it for a lot of teams.
Yeah, it does.
That stretch.
It does, and I think a lot of us were thinking, especially after they lost the game to the Steelers, that this could be a disastrous next 6 weeks for this team. This game was right there to be had, which if you're going to take listen, there's no, there's no moral losses, or what do they call it? Moral victories, as they say. Yeah, there's no moral victories here in the National. Thanks for saving me on that one. No moral victories in this league, and this is certainly the case here, but this was a game. If you want something positive out of it, you probably should have won this game. Chargers, Lions, Ravens, like Ahmad said, Lamar Jackson's probably going to be back in time for that Ravens game. That's going to be an issue, no doubt about it. But with what I've seen in the NFL, this Broncos-Giants game that has gone completely off the rails today in the fourth quarter, anything can happen in this league. So I think Minnesota could definitely go into L.A. and possibly win that game. I think they can go into Detroit and still possibly win that game too. It all comes down to what kind of quarterback play are we going to get from this team? Because all we're getting from that position right now is inconsistency. And inconsistency at the quarterback position is going to kill you in this league. So Carson Wentz either needs to get it together and get it together in a hurry, or J.J. McCarthy is going to have to put some kind of savior hat on and come in here and try to save the rest of the season. And from what we saw in the first 2 games from J.J. McCarthy, I'm not exactly optimistic that that's going to happen. So somebody's got to get it together, whether it's Carson Wentz or J.J. McCarthy, because you need to stay on offense. You need to finish drives. And something has got to give with this team in terms of the quarterback, because that's the only way, in my opinion, that this team can go into places like Detroit and beat teams like Baltimore with Lamar Jackson. You got to get more consistent quarterback play.
Agreed. I think they have, when they win, they play complimentary football. When they lose, they don't play complimentary football. But what I do notice about the Vikings schedule, every time they lose, they bounce back with a win. So I think next week, must win, this Thursday, not even next week, 3 days from now, 4 days from now. It's a must win for them, because then you get a chance. If you win, you get Friday, Saturday, Sunday off. You come back to the office on Monday, and you're like, you know what? We can go do this. We can go beat Detroit. We need to beat them. We haven't beaten them in several years. And I think you need that win to get that momentum, because the last thing you want is back-to-back losses and then traveling to Ford Field to take on Jared Goff, Jahmyr Gibbs, and company. And then we talk about, Jared Goff knows how to decipher those blitzes. And then you're going to have one-on-one opportunities. Corners are going to have to go make plays. So I just think momentum is key. But like Kevin O'Connell said, momentum is only as good as your last game. And they didn't do well carrying that momentum over from last game.
Well, that's the thing. It seems like the team really doesn't know what they are, right? Because they come up with great plays, but then they make mistakes.
This team needs Aaron Jones back as well.
Themselves.
He said he can't wait. He's just waiting on them to clear him.
So they'll clear him. So he should be able to go Thursday.
This team needs Aaron Jones back, and I mean, not that he's going to come in and be the absolute savior of this offense, but he gives them another element to this offense. You see what happens when Jordan Addison's back on the field, another weapon to use. Aaron Jones is a guy who not only can run the football for you, great pass catcher out of the backfield as well. So it's a complimentary 1-2, and that's why they brought in Jordan Mason. They liked that complimentary 1-2 punch of Jones and Mason, because Mason right now, even though I think he has the capability, I mean, we saw it last year when he was in San Francisco, he's got the capability of carrying it 20 to 25 times a game. But is this Vikings offense, one, patient enough to allow him to go 20 to 25 yards? And two, are they equipped up front to do it? You're without your starting center in Ryan Kelly. You get everybody else back on the offensive line. I thought the offensive line today, was pretty good for the most part. I didn't.
Well, he didn't get sacked, but he got hit.
He got sacked.
a lot.
I think he got sacked a couple of times.
Sacked twice.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of big hits on him.
I didn't think the offensive line was terrible today. I really didn't. I didn't think the offensive line was terrible. I'm not saying that they were great, but again, it seems like everywhere on the offense right now, it's like it's just enough not to get you over the hump. It's like everything
right.
but that
That's what
last
I'm saying,
thing.
the identity, right?
Yeah.
It's like they don't have confidence that they can finish off these drives. Like all of a sudden they second guess themselves. We've ran the ball all the way down here, but now we're at the 2 and we're going to throw it 3 times. Like, wait, why?
I think it's like Pierre said, it's just inconsistent quarterback play, because Justin Jefferson said it after the game when asked about their identity. He said, we have talented players all over this field offensively.
Absolutely.
He was like,
but
he
it's
was like,
not coming together.
Yeah, he was like, we know how to go make plays, and I think it falls back to what Pierre said, inconsistent quarterback play. If you had a quarterback that could just get his guys to football, make the right read. I mean, because there was
what do we have a year ago?
I know, but he probably wouldn't have
crazy.
Will Fries, probably wouldn't have Donovan. Well, you probably would have Donovan Jackson, but
Could
probably
have
don't
Daniel Jones
Could have
hanging around
or
here.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, you
or
know,
Aaron Rodgers for cheap too.
possible. I don't know how cheap, but yeah.
He went. What did he sign? $10 million at Pittsburgh? I think it wasn't much more than $10 million.
I think it was $10 million.
I mean, yeah, good storylines for sure. But they are riding with their guy J.J. McCarthy, and J.J. McCarthy needs to step up and play good football. Win,
But
and if he
every
comes back.
other position in the NFL is challenged. You don't just give somebody the job. You don't just say, "Well, we drafted you as our top cornerback. Boom, go do it."
Well, that's crazy.
You need
That's
to
what
have
we talked about a month
competition at
ago.
yes, you
That's what we
brought
talked
it
about
up.
a month ago.
I'm stealing your point.
That's
Thank
on
you.
Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah and Kevin O'Connell, and they were the ones to blame for that. If that was the case, that they said, "JJ, this is your team, no competition." Because from what I understand, they wanted Daniel Jones back, but Daniel Jones wanted a clear path to go start, and I don't think they were
Right.
saying you're going to be a starter.
Like you said
Yeah.
at training camp.
Yeah.
This is good. Look at he's already getting riled up one more time. Just have an open competition.
Yeah.
If you're the number 1 pick, show us.
Yeah.
Take the job.
I'm only getting riled up because, I mean, look, the Colts put up 38 points on the Chargers today in LA.
Great running game.
Great running game is absolutely correct. That is absolutely correct. And who knows what Daniel Jones would have looked like in Minnesota without as good of a running game in Minnesota. It might look a little bit different. But you can't tell me in the body of work that what we've seen so far here with Daniel Jones that you were so afraid to let him compete for the starting job that you couldn't have just kept him on and not protected J.J. McCarthy's feelings the way I think that that's probably what happened. So we've talked about that a lot here on this show.
Yeah. And it holds water until it doesn't.
That's exactly right.
That's what we're waiting for.
That's exactly right.
Prove us wrong. Put that
It's a
torpedo
results
in the
business.
side of our ship and take us down.
It's a results business. Nobody should ever have to apologize for it being a results business. I'm sorry. I don't care about your feelings at the professional level. This is professional sports. I couldn't care less about your
handsomely
feelings.
compensated.
Yeah, right, exactly. You are handsomely compensated. The next guy over is trying to take your job. You either keep your job or you don't. And if you can't, you can't. Maybe you get an opportunity somewhere else. We've seen, we just saw it last year with Sam Darnold. I'm not alluding to the fact that this is what's going to happen with J.J. McCarthy, but we're going back to the notion that at every single position, there's competition. Quarterback needs to be no different.
Rebuttal?
I have none. Hey, my college coach used to tell us, Coach Jackson at SIUC, shout out to you. He used to always say, "This is Division I football. Not everybody plays." And you're going up a step higher in the NFL. Like, who cares where you're drafted? If you're not good, you don't play. And there's plenty of people that get drafted in the first, second, and third round and get cut in their second year. Not to say that's what should happen to J.J. McCarthy, but I agree with Pierre. Competition is what makes a team better, and I think that he didn't have much competition during this training camp. They shipped out Sam Howell because he was awful, and Max Brosman outplayed, pretty much everyone in the preseason games that we saw. But, it's like, do you give the keys to the ship to a rookie? No, then we're back in the same J.J. McCarthy boat. So that's why they went out and got Carson. Carson did what he's supposed to do in these games. I feel like he gave them chances to win. He just didn't play great, but that's why he's a backup quarterback and not a starting quarterback.
And I don't want to kick J.J. McCarthy when he's down. When you're injured, and to me, you absolutely should get an opportunity to come back from injury and prove yourself. And the injury talk is not related to what we're talking about right now. The fact that he's injured, go ahead, get healthy.
It doesn't matter. I'm not taking any shot at him. It's just
I know.
Have
I'm just saying for
policies.
context. I'm
whatever.
saying it for all the commenters who are going to rip you here in about 5 minutes. That's why I'm trying to protect you this time.
Wow, thank you. So if you just happen to stumble across this, what other locations are there to find this?
Spotify, Apple, YouTube, Fox9.com,
Fox Local.
Fox Local.
Perfect.
All the good stuff.
And on X, where can people find you?
Ahmad Hicks TV.
The Nuge, Fox 9. Hit me up there anytime.
NOUJ?
NOUJ.
Perfect. All right, that'll do it. We'll talk to you Thursday, maybe late night. We'll see. 28-22 is the final. Your Vikings are now 500. We will talk to you soon.